Hey guys, this is Katie. My husband and I work here on the farm. We have two handsome boys that are growing up quickly. I am usually the one that you will contact or talk to if you call, text, message the farm in any way, and we look forward to hearing from you. Thanks. Most of my blogs have been written in the past tense. I've written them after I've overcome, but today is different. Paul helped me to learn a new perspective today. I've suffered from migraines for about 20 years, and about the time I think that I have them figured out, I'm completely lost. I know this is partly true for all migraine sufferers. I also know that God has intentionally given me something that I cannot figure out, because it requires me to rely on Him daily and sometimes hourly. Today was especially touched because my physical pain was matched with my spiritual and emotional drain. Not only had I been struggling with a headache for almost 24 hours that my meds were not breaking, but I was exhausted from fighting for the pain to stop. I was exhausted from pretending that I was happy despite the pain, and as a result, I was beginning to doubt all things in my life. Why have I quit my job to work with and around my family every day? When I get tired of other jobs, I just quit or blame my boss for being bad. Why have we decided to keep our kids in a distant learning program? They are exhausting to be around all day. And I wonder what I have forgotten to get ready for them this week. The negative thoughts continued piling on me and adding to the exhaustion. Today, as the workday was starting, Paul, seemingly on purpose and on a mission, walks right in front of me and asks me how I am doing. And it wasn't the cordial, "What's up?" It was Paul's piercing, "What is God working with you today?" kind of question. Partly out of desperation, partly out of frustration, and partly out of just wanting to talk to Paul, I just started crying and telling him that my head hurt again. Without missing a beat, he continues walking and joins his steps with mine, puts his arm around me, and instantly begins talking to me and encouraging me. I don't know if God sent him to me or if Paul just was determined to talk to me today, because there are days, most of them, that I don't hide my pain as well as I'd like to admit. But in that moment, he reminded me of Christ. He reminded me of his impeccable timing and non-ending love. He reminded me that, despite our pretense, we cannot hide. And he not only will walk beside us, but he looks for ways to do so, even if we can't ask. You see, with each step that Paul took in unison with me, comforting me and talking to me about the purpose of our pain, I can feel him limp as he faces more physical pain on a daily basis than he'll ever admit. And he never complains or asks for a way out. I know there are days that he wants to give in and rest eternally. I know that each day he sees that he is closer to receiving that reward, but he knows that he still has a job to complete here. So despite putting up with all of us and our stubbornness, much like Moses in the wilderness, he also goes to endless doctor's visits that give him plenty of excuses to give up for his age. And dealing with physical pain, he persists with valor and honor. He looks to God for guidance, then looks for ways to enrich our lives, whether it is walking beside us for a moment so that we know a physical example of God's love and patience, or it is giving the kids insight into life by praying with them when they seem too tired or bothered for school. Thank you, Paul, for showing us that Christ is with us in our pain. Yes, he is waiting on the other side, but not only does he purpose our pain, he walks with us in our pain, so that we can see him and trust him even when life is hard. Our little detour this morning took less than 2 minutes, but it made the pain bearable because I wasn't waiting for it to end. I was reminding that Christ was sharing it with me. If you are in pain, find someone you trust and confide in them. It is amazing how just confessing our physical pain opens the door for healing in emotional and spiritual realms as well. Because we are admitting our imperfections and trusting someone else. If you know someone in pain, give them a hug. Send them an encouraging text. Mail a card for no reason. Give them a call. They may not be in a place where they are able to thank you, but it will be received with the generosity and sincerity it is given. I leave you with Romans chapter 5, verses 3 through 5. And not only so, but we glory in tribulations also, knowing that tribulation worketh patience, and patience experience, and experience hope. And hope maketh not ashamed, because the love of God is shed abroad in our hearts by the Holy Ghost, which is given unto us.
Thank you, Katie. I think that is so good. You know, I was listening to a radio program the other day, and what struck me on it was this woman on there was talking, and she was just bubbly about this, and oh, I learned this and that, and I thought that was great. But then I thought, is that really where most people live? And I think the answer is no. I think the answer is if you really look at your situation around us, whether it's a physical, whether it's a spiritual, or emotional, or financial right now especially, or just the fear of the things happening, I think it wears on our brain. It carries us down. But I think what you said is so good. Confess your faults one another that you may be healed. And you know, I like that verse because a fault is not a mistake. A fault is like, you know, like a crack, like a fault line.
Yeah.
It's like something that's not quite together, hasn't been healed yet. And, you know, as I told you, I'm praying every day and thanking God for your healing because I believe you are being healed. I really do, with all my heart. And I know that God's got a purpose for that because we'll learn, but the learning doesn't last forever. You know, we'll go into something else. We'll be there. But I think you're just sharing your struggle. And sometimes that struggle is so important. You know, Jesus didn't hide his struggles. In the garden, he knew what he was going to face, and he brought his disciples in. And said, come on, guys.
Even when they wanted to turn their back.
Just stay awake. That's all. Just please stay awake with me.
Share it with me.
And they couldn't. But, you know, I think that's great, and I think you do a wonderful job. I think life is an important step in progress in becoming the person we need to be for the sake of those that come after us.
Yeah.
You know?
I think when I was younger, I always thought it'd be like, okay, I'm going to fix this. I'm going to conquer this. I'm going to whatever, and then I'll have arrived. And I think, I don't know if it's age or just me and my arrogance. I think I'm realizing, no, we just keep improving and refining like cheeses and wines, and we just continue to do that till we die and till our purpose is done here on earth. And that's what's in front of me right now.
Yeah. I think what maybe we don't realize sometimes because we do it on a daily basis is how that going through that reaches out and touches other people who can't be touched any other way. You know, fortunately you're here and I'm here and God brought us together that morning we were walking. But this reaches out to people who can't be here, who we don't know, and says, hey, look, folks, this is common to all people.
Yes, yeah, we all struggle.
It wouldn't have happened had you not been brave enough to share the fact that you're not Joan of Arc.
No.
That you're not invincible.
I'm way too old, first of all. But not as courageous either, but yeah.
I think more courageous. I think sometimes people that put on the armor outside the exterior are not as courageous because they're hiding that interior. And it's harder to bring it out and just say, Lord, I need you. Lord, I really need you. I'm not capable in myself of doing it. I really need you.
But in that, I think that is when he's able to make us brave or courageous or whatever characteristic he wants.
Yeah, I think
otherwise
writing
we're foolhardy.
that is courageous. I think revealing ourselves as courageous, revealing our struggles, revealing that we're not perfect, even though everybody knows it. But revealing it.
Just, it's hard,
Yes.
yeah.
But it makes us who we are.
Yeah, hopefully it makes it comforting for others so that they can mend.
I think it will. Because, the biggest thing, the biggest tool Satan uses in our life to discourage us is that we're all alone.
Mm-hmm.
That no one understands us. No one's there. No one you're just alone and nobody cares.
Mm-hmm.
And when you realize that Jesus said, no, I will never leave you. And I think he meant that on a personal basis. Not on I'm God in heaven, but I think he meant it on I'm there with you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm struggling with you. I think the beautiful thing is we could always realize when Jesus reaches out to put his arm around us, there's a nail print in his hand that reminds us, hey, I know what suffering is.
Yeah.
I've been there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he would say, I suffered so you can overcome it. Not so that you will never suffer, but that you will overcome the suffering.
Well, and he can walk beside us, with comfort and with, wisdom and, As not to be sacrilegious and not appear in the way of being sacrilegious, but I've been there.
Yes. Oh, yes.
That kind of peer, not.
Yeah.
Not that we're.
Oh, totally. He wouldn't look down and say, well, why aren't you doing what I did?
Mm-hmm.
He would just say, hey, understand, everybody bears their cross.
Yeah.
So, Katie, thank you so much. I see you growing. I see you telling your heart and growing, and whether you know it or not, that is a dynamic way to grow. Give, and it shall be given. Yeah. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you, hon. Love you.
Love you.
Bye.
Hey y'all, thanks for joining us for Around the Supper Table. At Sanctuary Family Farms, we want to be real. Whether that's through our blogs, daily verses, or even Nana's recipes, we want to share the messages that God has laid on each of our hearts. If you liked what you heard today or want to get in touch with us, you can find us on Facebook and YouTube at Sanctuary Family Farms or our website at www.sanctuaryfamilyfarms.com, where we share our recipes and blogs and sell farm fresh beef and pork. We can't wait for you to join us again for next week's episode.